Hi, I'm Aubrey Barnett, and I am one of Spectrum's middle school teachers. Um, as a heads up, if you'd like to know a little bit more about me, at the end of this video, there's a bit of a bio so you can hear my backstory. But what I'm here to talk to you about today is what our children really need. We are in a toxic time. Maybe we're always in toxic times, right? As all literature teachers know, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And it is perpetually our job as educators to remember and to remind our community that children are our most valuable resource. We live as a species for our children to pass on our genetic material that they might remember and live and find joy and be safe. Right now, adults everywhere, including teachers, are stressed out about how to manage this, what feels like a brand new platform, even though a lot of online educators have been doing it for quite a while, and even though it's quite doable. There has been a magnificent amount of richness in online learning in only 3 weeks in my school. I encourage everyone to go to the Facebook page, look at our YouTube page. Our teachers and children are magnificent. But what's really important here, what's really important is that our children need to believe deeply that we know, we trust that they have the capacity to invent a way out of this. It's not really us who's inventing this. We're inventing for the now. We're inventing an immediate vaccine. They knew to invent a whole way out because more viruses are coming. As sure as you and I know, they're coming. It's just a part of being alive. The people who invented the idea of a vaccine, that's what we need. We need the next new idea of what it is, right? So our children need to have the sense that we believe that they can do that. One of the most important parts of helping children believe that they can do it is by understanding how we ourselves are a part of a legacy and a journey of human beings who have continually and perpetually believed in that enough to find their way out. We are all sons and daughters and granddaughters of a species that has nurtured and loved enough its next generation to pass on this seed of hope. This seed of hope isn't lightly carried, and not everyone will be able to be a part of it. Some children will choose to pick up this thread that goes all the way back in time and that will stretch all the way forward until the end of our species. This thing of connected memory and writing and language and idea that expresses what it is to be alive and why we want to stay that way. It requires an incredibly large amount of complex metaphorical thinking. It requires abstraction. It requires an ability to hold tension. It requires a willingness to enter into ambiguity and to decide and make one's mind up about how one might approach it. Not how it's been done before, but knowing how it's been done before so that one can approach it with intention and then also creativity. It is a massive undertaking to believe in a child so deeply that you see all this and you help them bring about so that they can do that thing which we are all most called to do, which is be better. I'm just here as a reminder. I'm just here to say, yes, this is why we're doing what we're doing. And yes, we must continue to say it and to believe it, because if we do, then they will, and they can. I know they can, and I know we can. A little tiny bit of background about me. I grew up in Chicago, in the city, not in the suburbs. I attended Chicago Public Schools 1st grade through 12th grade. I benefited from the magnificence of what public education can do. I firmly believed in it. I went back and taught in Chicago Public Schools as a young professional, and I loved it. I managed 60 students at once, and I did it well. And I realized that there was a lot more to teaching than just the teaching, and that the content a lot of times couldn't get done if you didn't do all the emotional work first. So I went back and I got my master's degree in counseling, and I worked with adolescents in lots of different settings to understand their families and their dynamics, what motivates them. I did school anxiety and school refusal. I did children with eating disorders. I did children who were struggling with suicidality. I really got in there. And when I worked with those children, I thought, gosh darn it, I just wish I could get back in the classroom and be the teacher that they need. And then an opportunity presented itself for so much of the work that I had done and that my family had done, because not only am I this person, but I come from 3, 4, 5 generations of teachers. My great grandmother was the first female professor at Roosevelt University. She taught piano. My grandmother was a teacher. My mother is the principal of Spectrum School. We moved to Rockford for Spectrum because I found its website and I found its posting, and I fell in love at 9 p.m. at night in Highland Park on an inpatient unit, fell in love with Spectrum School and what they stood for. And I moved my whole life here, including my 2 daughters who are twins, now 2 years old, who will attend Spectrum. And lastly, I would be remiss without saying that I'm also the Children and Youth Director at Second First Church in Rockford. We are a very open congregation, and I spend my weekend time working with 4-year-olds to 18-year-olds, trying to help them make meaning of the world and find a space of goodness inside them as best I can. And I believe in our church's mission. I believe in revitalizing downtown Rockford. I think it's incredible what the city of Rockford has done and continues to do. Its history is often overlooked in a state where Chicago is a city of big shoulders, but I'm a proud Rockfordian now, and I am so grateful for an opportunity to practice in community in this space. And I hope that Spectrum will be around for another 50 years.